Hey everybody, today I want to talk to you about this little macro. I call it the iTunes Tweet macro, although that's not what I named it, but it is the iTunes Tweet macro, and it does this. Okay? Now, um, you guys see iTunes is open, and I'm going to play an iTunes song. And let's play this Aaliyah song. Although the sound isn't gonna come through because it's I don't want to get into any trouble with YouTube, but it is. You'll see that it is playing. And here it is playing. Now I'm gonna launch this macro. And you guys just saw that I launched a tweet automatically that says, hey, I'm currently listening to Aaliyah on the Aaliyah album, and it's an advanced full tracks. That is a misnamed album, but anyway, you guys see it working right there. And if I turn iTunes off and do the same tweet or the same macro again, it gives you an iTunes isn't playing master notification. And if I turn iTunes and Twitter completely off, let's do it right now. And then Twitter off, and do a Command Option Shift and Control, which is the caps lock key for me, and U. It gives you a whoops, iTunes isn't activated. Again, because iTunes isn't even on. So today I'm going to go through that macro with you, and this seems to have worked a lot better than the Spotify failed video that I tried to create a similar video but with Spotify. I will link to that video down below. Anyway, let's get started with building this macro. Okay, so we're going to do a new macro. We're going to go here to the YouTube videos folder. I'm going to create a new macro. I'm going to call it iTunes Tweet Video. Okay, and I'm going to give it the same trigger so that palette pops up, but usually you wouldn't give it the same trigger. So I'm going to give it the caps lock U, which for me the caps lock is Control, Option Shift, and Command and U. Now, the first thing we're going to put in is a if-then statement. So we're going to type if and here it is. Let's see, where is it? If then else. Here we go. If then else. And while we're here, we're also going to put a notification for the final notification. This notification is for if iTunes isn't working at all. So it's not been activated. We're going to say oops. Okay. Now we're going to add the condition. Say application condition. And we're going to say iTunes. Where's iTunes? Not there, of course. That's what I need. Recent. Go to iTunes. And we're going to make it running. So now, if it's running, it's going to test a AppleScript. And then we're going to add an AppleScript. So we're going to type execute. There we go, execute AppleScript. And then the AppleScript we're going to use is, this is the AppleScript to tell Keyboard Maestro if iTunes is running, meaning that a song is playing or not. And we're going to save it as a variable. Now, we're going to save it as a variable. So results as a variable. I'm going to call that result as playing. Now, let me go reference my other macro real quick. Okay. Now we're going to add the if else. Now we're going to add if this variable, we find the variable condition first. I think it should be at the very end here. Okay, yeah, so it automatically references the AppleScript up here. That's why they have the same variable name. And then we're going to change it to is. And then the value is going to be 1. And that one comes from iTunes being on. Now, I'm going to copy. Well, actually, I don't need to copy it. I can just reference it from here. Now, I'm going to copy this action because it's the same. but we're just going to change the message so we don't get confused. Oh, this needs to be iTunes not activated. Not. And for this one, it's going to be iTunes not playing. Okay. This is just so we don't get confused about which message it's going to send out depending on what state the iTunes application is, whether it's on but not running any music or completely not active. Alright, so now we get to add in the simple actions except for the TextExpander action. So let me look at my notes again. So now I'm going to activate, the first action I'm going to add is activate Twitter. So activate a specific application. There it goes. Say recent, and Twitter's right here. Boom. Twitter's activated. And I'm going to add a pause for 1 second. Adding a pause always helps the macro run properly because it gives it time to process, because Keyboard Maestro is generally faster than the computer processes. So we're going to add a 1 second pause after the Twitter is activated. Or let's leave it at 1.5 actually. Now we're going to go and do a menu selection. Actually, we're still going to keep it with the front application because Twitter is right before it. So we're going to say File, because that's the first option that's in the Twitter application. And then New Tweet. And it has the menu names have to be absolutely a spot-on match. Now, this action is the one that not everybody has. Is the TextExpander action that you can download from the forum, the Keyboard Maestro forum, and I will provide a link to all the AppleScripts and the TextExpander forum where you can download the action, or the Keyboard Maestro forum where you can download the TextExpander action. There, I said it correctly finally. Alright, so then type in TextExpander here. And we're going to do a TextExpander snippet, and that means you're going to type in the abbreviation. And I'm going to type in here, I'm going to type $tunes, and oh, that's because it already had this action in here before, so it, as you just saw, it tweeted that it can't find any track. So I need to be careful. I'm going to do tunes first. I'm going to space and put the $, and I'm going to return. And I will show you the TextExpander snippet right now. Open TextExpander, and here is the AppleScript that tweets out when that macro is executed. So here is set the current song name of the current track, and then it sets the current artist of the current track, and the current album to the album of the current track. And here is what it returns. This is the complete message. I'm currently listening to, and here is referencing the current song up here, and by the current artist on the current album. And then it took me a real long time to figure this part out. I needed to add the ampersands and the quotation marks with a space in between to be able to add text to the result of the AppleScript. This text here is what I added. I added the now playing hashtag. All right. So with that, that's the now playing snippet from TextExpander. And now I have one more action to add. Okay, it's a 2-second pause. And then I'm going to do a keystroke action. And do a command enter, because that's how you tweet out in the Twitter application using the keyboard. All right. So this should be the full macro recreated. Now let's test it out. Let's test it out. I'm going to do a caps lock U, and I'm going to select T because that's the macro we just created. If you only have one of these, I have two because I created this before. But if you only have two, you won't have this palette appear. If you only have one, this won't appear, sorry. So let's try T. And of course it gives you iTunes not playing. Now, let's turn on iTunes. Okay, yeah. We're going to keep it way down because we don't want any music to play. Let's pick AC/DC. But first, let's try the macro again with iTunes activated but not playing. Again, the letter T to activate the macro we just created. Okay, iTunes not playing. And remember before, it was iTunes not activated. So, let's try playing AC/DC's Back in Black. Is it playing? Here we go. Here. As you can see, it is playing. Now I can do a caps lock U again. And for the third time, try T. And here it starts up, and there's the tweet. And the tweet is already sent out. You can see that by going to here it is. But as you can see, I'm currently listening to "You Shook Me All Night Long" by AC/DC on Back in Black. Okay, and so that's the iTunes tweet macro that we tried to do in the past. I will link to the video that I originally created for a similar macro using Spotify, but that was a fail. So this is a complete success. This is what you're supposed to do with automation. I can use this macro each time a new song comes on and I want to tweet it out to my Twitter followers. All right, so let's close out of these. And close out of iTunes. And let's open the editor again. Oops. Select the iTunes Tweet video. there it is. Well, that's all I have for you guys in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please help me out by subscribing to this channel, liking it, and commenting down below. And let me know if you would use this macro and what other types of Mac automations you would like to see. Alright guys, I'll talk to you soon in the next video. Peace.